thanks for joining me, your sports pilot, James Glory, on another exciting episode of Sport Vibe on DNT, where we'll bring you exciting and latest sport happenings across the world of sport every Tuesday. You know, it's already our tradition to do this, and this week won't be an exception, so I would implore you to please stay tuned, because we'll be right back shortly after this break. Welcome back, and thanks for staying tuned. Starting this week episode of Sport Vibe on DNT. Walk from the Premier League. The week 9 in the Premier League was full of so many dramas and from positives from so many football clubs, and also a shocker over the weekend in the Premier League. But this was a great weekend for the Arsenal Football Club as they continue to maintain their spot at the top of the Premier League table. It was a decisive win for Arsenal Football Club after they were able to defeat Crystal Palace with the only goal coming from the former Crystal Palace player, where you talk about Ebere Chukwueze scoring the goal for Arsenal Football Club to defeat his former side Crystal Palace. That was the only goal in that encounter, and it proves to be enough for Arsenal as they sit at the top of the Premier League table with 22 points ahead of every other team, like the likes of Liverpool, the likes of Man City, the likes of Manchester United, and the likes of Chelsea. They are sitting comfortably at the top of the Premier League table. It was an interesting one for Arsenal Football Club, but a sad one for Liverpool, who suffered their 4th consecutive loss in the Premier League. You remember that they were defeated by Manchester United in the previous weekend, and going into the Champions League, where they were able to defeat Frankfurt 5-1, they were hoping that they are back to their grooves and back to their winning ways. But in the Premier League, a different competition from the UEFA Champions League, they continue to suffer as they were defeated by Brentford over the weekend 3-2, where eventually saw Mo Salah scoring the second goal. But it wasn't enough for Liverpool to rescue a point or probably get a win against Brentford at the G-Tech Stadium over the weekend. It was a sad one for Liverpool, and Ancelotti has so many questions to answer for Liverpool. Do they need to change anything for Liverpool? Is it the tactics that is not working, or there are some certain players that are yet to adapt to the style of play for Liverpool? But this was a shocker for them as they were defeated by Brentford, prolonging their defeat to 4th defeat in a row in the Premier League. A sad one for Liverpool, but more interesting one for Manchester United, who has continued to improve under Ruben Amorim, getting their 3rd win in a row under Ruben Amorim. They were able to defeat Brighton and Hove Albion 4-2 in a dominant performance against the Seal Eagles. They were able to defeat Brighton and Hove Albion in a comfortable way. Remember that match was full of a lot of drama, where we saw Mbeumo scoring a brace, and we saw Matheus Cunha scoring his 1st goal for Manchester United. An interesting one, scoring outside the box 18. You remember that he was able to score a lot of goals like that for Wolves before getting his move to Manchester United. We saw Mbeumo scoring a brace, and we also saw Casemiro finding the back of the net for Manchester United against Brighton and Hove Albion, and this takes Manchester United to the 6th position in the Premier League right now. If you look at the table, it's an interesting one to see Manchester United above Liverpool, who have started the Premier League season in an incredible way. But over the weekend also, we saw Aston Villa defeating Manchester City, and this means that Manchester City are leveled on points with Manchester United in the Premier League. An interesting one for Manchester United fans, something to build upon as they will be finding their way to the Nottingham Forest Stadium this weekend to see if they will be able to extend their wins to 4 wins in a row under Ruben Amorim. For the very first time, they are in search of 5 wins in a row under Ruben Amorim, and will they be able to do that after defeating Nottingham Forest this weekend? They will be facing Tottenham Hotspur in their 5th game that they will be hoping to win in a row. An interesting week 9 in the Premier League. Also, as we saw, Burnley defeating Wolves 3-2 in the Premier League. And as the stand stands right now, we have Arsenal at the top of the Premier League. We have Sunderland also, who were able to defeat Chelsea over the weekend 2-1. It was Chelsea that threw the first punch in the weekend encounter against Sunderland, but Sunderland were able to leave it to the latter end of that competition to secure the maximum points against Chelsea, and this means that Chelsea are sitting below Manchester United in the Premier League table. An exciting sight for Manchester United fans across the globe, and I know they'll be very excited to see this table, and they'll be hoping to build on it. And as I was saying, Arsenal Football Club remains at the top of the table. We have Sunderland, we have Bournemouth in the 2nd and 3rd position, and we have Tottenham Hotspur, who were able to defeat Everton at the 4th position. We have Manchester City at the 5th position, while Manchester United follow closely at the 6th position. An interesting one for them in the Premier League. And quickly, let's switch our attention to the Italian Serie A. Another exciting weekend in the Italian Serie A, where AC Milan couldn't hold on to their lead at the top of the table after playing a draw against Pisa over the weekend. It was a sad one for them. They were hoping that the encounter between Napoli and Inter Milan would favor them if they were able to get a win against Pisa, but so the sad one for them, unable to get a win against the Italian side that just got promoted to the Italian Serie A. But quickly permit me to go on a very short break, and when we're right back, we continue right from where we stopped. Welcome back, and continuing from where we stopped, still talking football, we talk about the Italian Serie A, where AC Milan has failed to hold on to their lead at the top of this Serie A table, but we saw Napoli climbing to the top of the Serie A table after they were able to defeat Inter Milan 3-1 over the weekend. Scott McTominay can't stop scoring goals for Napoli. Remember, he scored some goals for Napoli in their encounter in the UEFA Champions League, where they were defeated 6-0. But over the weekend in the Italian Serie A, the Scottish player was able to score the goal that helped Napoli won Inter over the weekend, and this means that Napoli are sitting at the top of the Italian Serie A. Roma also were able to win their game over the weekend, and this means that Napoli and Roma are equal on points at the top of the Serie A table, where Inter Milan fell short and AC Milan fell short over the weekend in the Italian Serie A. An interesting one also for Lazio, who were able to defeat Juventus over the weekend. It's a sad start for Juventus after starting the season undefeated in the Italian Serie A. They have suffered so many defeats, as they were also defeated by Real Madrid over the week in the UEFA Champions League, and bringing that same fate to the Italian Serie A. And if they continue with this form that they have, I think that they should be letting off their coach in the Italian Serie A. And it's going to be an interesting one to wrap up this edition of today's episode of Sport Vibe on DNT Walk, talking about the Clasico between Barcelona and Real Madrid. It was the Barcelona side visiting the Santiago Bernabéu in a crucial one to search for the victory that will take them above Real Madrid in the La Liga table. But it's interesting one for Real Madrid. We were able to respond against Barcelona. Remember that there has been so many speculation on and off the pitch coming from another great player for Barcelona, Lamine Yamal, who has said he often play well at the Santiago Bernabéu and he hopes to get a victory against Real Madrid at the Santiago Bernabéu, but this was a lot of motivation for the Real Madrid players who were able to dominate Barcelona at the El Clasico, getting a crucial win 2-1 as they were able to extend their lead to 5 points ahead of Barcelona. The match was full of so many exciting moments where we saw Kylian Mbappe scoring some couple of goals that were ruled out for offside, but he also lost a penalty against Barcelona where we saw their keeper saving that particular one from Kylian Mbappe, but his goal and that of Jude Bellingham was enough to get the maximum point for Real Madrid as they shut down their rival Barcelona. It was an interesting one after the match where we saw Dani Carvajal approaching Lamine Yamal, asking him to talk less and perform well on the pitch of play. In that particular one, we saw Lamine Yamal not being able to get a goal or an assist as Marcus Rashford continues with the form, and he was able to set up a goal for Fermin Lopez. It wasn't enough for Barcelona to get a point or get the maximum point in the Spanish La Liga. Real Madrid has 10 stands after playing 10 matches in the Spanish La Liga, just ahead of Barcelona after losing just one match to their arch rival Atletico Madrid. Is 9 out of 10 wins for Real Madrid as 10 stands, and they are 5 points ahead of Barcelona. It's going to be another El Clasico probably to determine who will be winning the Spanish La Liga this season, as Real Madrid are not looking like a team that will be losing anytime soon in the Spanish La Liga, and Kylian Mbappe can't stop scoring goals after goals, as his goals and Jude Bellingham goals was just enough to get the win for Real Madrid. All Madrid in the world of football, they have shown that they have all what it takes to respond to the critics and why they are the Galacticos in the world of football. And quickly to another sport, we talk about the Formula One, where we saw Lando Norris being able to lead the drivers standing after winning the Mexico Grand Prix over the weekend. An interesting outing for that young talent. Talking about the McLaren driver was able to back the podium at the Mexico Grand Prix, where we saw Oscar Piastri not finishing on the podium, and this means that he has been able to go ahead of his teammate with 1 point ahead of Oscar Piastri. Lando Norris will be hoping that he might be able to win the Drivers' Championship. It's between the likes of Max Verstappen, Lando Norris, and Oscar Piastri in the Formula One season, and just 20 races being run already in the world of Formula One. Who will be able to hold on to the spot of the driver of the year 2025, where we talk about the Drivers' Championship in the world of Formula One? 4 races left in the world of Formula One to decide this, and this is the length at which we'll be going on this week's episode of Sport Vibe on DNT Work. For more news and sports stories, follow us across our various social media handles at Sport Vibe on DNT Work. Remain a law-abiding citizen. Enjoy your week.